Welcome to the Principles of Seven podcast. I'm your host, Dave Sharp. Thank you for joining us again. We really appreciate that. Today, I share in this world and time with you to talk about love. Love is the most potent drug known to humankind. It's addictive. It's consuming. It's craved by everyone. But here's the thing. Too many people seek to be users of love and not dealers of love. What do I mean by that? I mean, love is often seen as something that is to be consumed, and it's a feeling to be derived from others, a drug to be addicted to, much like crack cocaine or methamphetamines. The craving of love turns into a desperate addiction, leaving many broken hearts, shattered souls in its wake. But the truth is, we must be dealers of love. We must find it inside of ourselves and share it generously with the world. Love is not something to be selfishly hoarded, but something to be freely given and distributed. I think it's time to break the cycle of addiction and become the ambassadors of love. The dealers who spread its influence far and wide is what we should be striving to be. If you just think about the countless marriages, families, relationships, friendships that have been destroyed by an insatiable craving for love, by the pursuit of it as a drug instead of the nurturing and cultivation that it requires. We've all seen the wreckage caused by seeking the loathsome drug of love instead of recognizing that true love is a force to be cultivated and dealt with with responsibility, care, and respect. My mission, and I implore you to make it your mission too, is to change that in every action and every day. Let's be the ones who break the cycle, who rise above the addiction and become dealers of love. We must cultivate it in ourselves, embrace it in our relationships, and spread it throughout our communities. Let's rebuild what has been torn down. Let's heal what has been broken. Let's start by being the change we wish to see in the world. Together, let's become the dealers of love, and in doing so, let's transform the world one heart at a time. That's what my goal is. That's what I try to do every day. And these videos that I'm putting out right now is to help some of those people that we're working with and trying to help, that a lot of them are so used to trying to get someone to love them or to feel love from someone that they forget to give it themselves. And it's a cycle that I've seen so many times. so many people always talk about how they just don't get love. The focus that happens when you are so keyed in on somebody and how they make you feel. We get to the point that we start focusing on our own feelings, and we spend not enough time on how we can make somebody else feel. It's a pleasure that I have to speak with as many people as I do and come in contact with patrons and drivers of this business and the other businesses that we're involved with, and the classes that we have, and the people that we have working with us in this community. It's a privilege to be able to speak with them, and it makes me feel amazing and like I've really achieved something when at the end of the day I think back to, I call it recapitulation. It's actually a term that comes from the Toltec Indians of South America, and basically recapitulation is nothing more than looking backwards over your day from where you are right now. Like right now it's 3:17 in the morning, looking back over that day. And when you first start doing that and going back and seeing what you could have done differently, you get to experience both sides of that. Something goes really good, to know how and why it was good, you have to realize that it could have been bad. And to lock both of those in your head and be thankful that it went the positive way is just as important as looking back over something that was negative and knowing how it could have gone positive and what you could have done to make it a positive. And you don't just start with your day. Like in the beginning of doing this, you need to work it back through your life. Go back to the time when you were a kid and start looking at those memories and see the beliefs that you generated about yourself and other people. One of the things that I utilize, and it really comes from psychological profiling and my studies in just that, and what we know and what we learn is that there is a specific age group. If any of you just ask yourselves, what is the earliest memory that I have? And it'll be one that you've questioned whether or not it's actually even a fact, or if there's something that you've made up with it. That's about the only time that really happens, is 0 to 7. Because that age demographic, we're in what is known as a theta wave state in our brain, which is a very similar state to hypnosis. And the reason why we're in that state is, when you think about this, how quickly does a deer walk after being born? It starts being able to move around and fend for itself rather quickly, with the human being. How long do you think we would last if, 6 weeks into it, we were said, here you go, see, time for you to start doing things on your own? It just doesn't work that way. But the human brain, as it evolves, that subconscious mind is taking memory of everything that it's experienced, and eventually it starts correlating this into a belief system. And if you can go back to that very first memory that you had, it doesn't matter whether it's good or bad. And I realize there are people that have different experiences in their childhood, but the patterns are the same. You generated beliefs at this moment. And then when you look at from the ages of 8 to if you work it up to about 8 to 16, 17, 18 years old in that demographic, there's going to be another memory that you have, and this one you know absolutely happened. And it's that one that'll pop into your head randomly. And you're like, what the hell was I thinking about that for? That doesn't make any sense. There's a reason for that. It's because there's a undoing of those first 7 years and those beliefs that you realize that somebody else put into you, whether that be teachers or parents. And some of it is very intentional. But for the most part, these things are accidents, and it happens to every single human being. And then if you start working from that 18 to 25 year range, by the time you're 25, your brain is fully developed, and you've gone through and should have removed the programming that other people that put into you that just don't serve you. And we realize we generated some beliefs about ourselves and about other people. And one of the biggest places this shows up is with Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny or the Tooth Fairy. And what happens is, at some point in time, we realize these things weren't true. And God forbid that I was the oldest, so I didn't have this, but God forbid that you have an older brother or one of your friends that finds out at that age where they know that Santa's not real, but you don't. And you're made fun of and chastised for it. What truly happens at that moment is it's like you were betrayed in the mind and you were made to be a fool. So now you're hesitant to believe things that your parents just wanted you to believe so that you could have a magical, special childhood. And we look at these things as harmless, but it's really the first instance that we are shamed, or we realize that the things that we're told just aren't true. And the closer that people are to you, the more of a positive impact they can have, or the more of a damaging impact they can have. And when we're seeking love, we get into this state where without it, or when we perceive that we're not receiving enough of that, it sends us into a tailspin. But everywhere I go every day, I'm trying to spread as much love and light as I possibly can. And I think that's something that we all need to focus on. There's not going to be a shortage of love for one another if more of us start becoming dealers. And yes, we have to consume love as well. That's the exchange, right? But it's truly a good barometer of where you're coming from in life. If you are looking to ensure that others have that love, or you're seeking it for yourself, one of them is a very selfish point of view. And once we start getting locked in on trying to get that love and trying to feel that love from another human being, we start becoming consumers instead of that dealer. So I just want to make sure that we're all being good to one another. If there's somebody that you know struggling, and we have a lot of those around us right now, just lift them up. The drivers that come in here and have gotten used to seeing me back in here, the conversations that we have, I had a driver thank me so much just for caring about his day, because he was having a bad one. And he wanted to be grumpy. He really did. And I just asked him, what can we do to make it better? What do you want? What can we do right now? Well, it was simple. He'd just gotten a puppy, and his puppy was driving him crazy. So we took the puppy for a while, let him get his truck washed and get his head back. And by the time he came back in, he was just so thankful that we had done what we did for him, and that we took the time to figure out what was wrong with his day and just try to do something to help. That, that frustration he was feeling just went away. And I find that it happens that way over and over and over again. When we have the intention to brighten someone's day, it becomes easy. So think about that. Think about the people that you have in your life, and think about, are you an ambassador of dealing love, or do you seek to be that user of it? And when we're a user of it, it can be healthy or it can be unhealthy. And as long as we keep it on the healthy state, that's all we can do. I love everybody. Thank you for listening to me babble. I feel like that's an important message to get out. I thought about this and wanted to get this out because, like I said, I just see some people that are needing that right now, and I know they'll be watching this video. So I care about every single person watching this, and those not watching it, sending you light and love. God bless everybody. Take care, and until the next video, be good to one another. Have a good night.